G'day viewers, welcome to another video. Before we get started, I'd like to ask, could you please hit the like button? It helps me with the YouTube algorithm and will help them decide who to share it to. It just progresses my channel, helps me out. And also, if you haven't subscribed, could you please do that, because 75% of my viewers aren't subscribed. It would mean a lot to me. It'd help me grow my channel. Thank you. Hey guys, today's video is about refining. These two pieces of gold belong to the person that I've been doing the toll refining for. This one, as you can see, is almost pure, and so in fact I reckon it would be 24 carat. This is from the BGAs and they come up really nice, the gold corner BGAs. But this one here was from the last video, and if you saw that, you'd know that I didn't use nitric to remove base metals, so the gold came out pretty crappy. Now I think this would be 23 carat, 22 at worst. It'd be pretty clear. You can see it's got contamination on the surface. Inside it looks pretty nice, so I need to refine this before I can give it to him. And the best way to refine is to use silver. You can use copper, but I think silver's better. If I tried to put this in nitric acid right now, nothing would happen to it because there's too much gold in there. It needs to have, the bulk amount of metal needs to be a quarter of gold or less. Somewhere between a quarter and a fraction less, you know, it can't be too much. So basically I need to add silver, and I've got bits of silver here from a bracelet. So I've been using this to encort gold with. And I'm going to chop pieces off until I get to the required weight. Now to make this gold, the whole amount of metal, 25% gold, what I'm going to do is add 3/4 of whatever it weighs in silver. Does that make sense? So then the bulk amount of metal will be 3/4 silver and 1/4 gold. So I'm going to get my scales out now, measure what these two come to, and then just keep chopping off links of this bracelet until I get the required weight. I'll come back when I've done that, and I'll go and quart it, which means melt it and stir it together, make sure it's all amalgamated, and then pour it into shot so I can then strip the silver back out. I know that sounds a bit Irish, but as it's pulling out the silver, it'll also pull out any other contaminants, bits of copper and whatever else is in there, and I'll end up with nice pure gold. So I'll get this sorted and melted and come back when I'm about to strip the silver back out. Okay, so I've got it on the scales. I'm trying to make sure the shadow doesn't cover what we're doing. 4.68. So if I go 4.68 plus 75%, it comes up as 819. Now to find out how much silver I need, if I now remove the amount of gold that's here, 4.68, that'll leave me with the 75% silver, 3.5. So I need to add 3.51 grams of silver, or thereabouts. It can be as close to it, but it doesn't need to be exact. So I'll get that done now. Well, I couldn't believe how well this turned out. So I'm looking for 3.51 grams, and I'll cut these links off. One more to go. Look at that, 3.57. A minute ago it was 3.5. We'll start that again. Piece fell through, hang on, I'll get that out of the way. We'll try this again. Oh, 3.56. Before it was 3.5 on the dot, but that's close enough. So now I'm going to add that to the gold and quart it. Alright, it's time to melt this gold up. There we go. Get my graphite rod ready. Get it nice and hot. The gold and the silver is melted. Just give it a nice mix. You got to make sure it's thoroughly mixed, otherwise you'll have parts that are too much gold. You need it to all be well blended. Now, I don't have a lot in there, so it's not going to take too long to mix. It's a bit stuck to the side. See if I can get that down. I've got some water here. Okay. Should have made some nice pieces of shot in there. Now we can now go and use chemicals to pull the silver and other base metals out. Okay, so I'll see if I can show you. Got some nice pieces here of low carat gold, which I can now put back in there. A couple of pieces stuck here. And now put some tap water in there. Some tap water, some distilled water. Should be enough for now. Now what I intend to do is put some nitric in there, and once the nitric stops, instead of keep adding nitric, I'd rather take out all the solution and start with new clean water each time, for the simple purpose of waiting till there's no colour left in the solution. If I just kept putting nitric in, I'm not going to know when all the base metals are gone. But by continuously starting with a fresh batch of water and nitric, I'll see if there's any colour in the solution. And you're pretty much guaranteed once there's no colour, then you're going to have no base metals. And then we can go to aqua regia. So to start with, I'll carefully get hold of some nitric acid. And I'll probably put 2 full pipettes. Not exactly sure how much a pipette is. I think they're 5mm. And I can't read it. Well, it wouldn't be that much. Probably 2 or 3mm. I'll put 3 in. I know there's a lot of base metals at first. And I'll cover it and put it on heat. Alright, so as you can see, there's a green solution. It actually was darker than that, and I poured it off thinking that the camera was on record, but it wasn't. And so this is the second lot. Now I'm going to pour this solution off and then put some more water and start again. So I pour this off, and the water, The silver can be recovered with putting copper in there. So give it a quick rinse. And get as much of the silver nitrate off as I can. See how it's clumped together, it hasn't broken up into powder. If you put too much silver in there to begin with, it resorts to powder, so you want it to stay together like that. Give it one more rinse. And now put some more distilled water, and this time round I'm guessing that it's going to be clear, there's going to be no colour, and if that's the case, it means that all the copper has been poured out, because it was sterling silver, and sterling silver has copper in it, and there still could be silver come out, but you can't tell because silver nitrate is clear. And I'm just going to pour a fair bit in. Doesn't matter if I over nitric, because I can use that if I've got silver plated copper that I pour this into, so that's not a problem. So this time around, if there's no colour, it means I've pulled out all the copper, and then when I go to start dissolving the gold, there still could be silver in there, there's no way of knowing. So when I dissolve the gold and let it cool down, put some ice in there, and if there is any silver in there, it will drop out. So I'm going to put this back on the heat and boil that for a while, see what happens. If it stays that colour, like clear, then I'll know I'm ready to start dissolving the gold in acariccia. If I get any more colour come into it, then I'll just keep doing this until it's all clear. Well, it's been boiling for about an hour and a half, and as you can see, no colour change, still clear. So I'm going to let that cool off, pour that out, and then I'm going to put some acariccia in there and start dissolving the gold. Now, I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, I might have forgotten, but I wasn't really happy with the amount of base metals that was coming out, so I re-incorporated it with some more silver. But as you can see, I've got it sorted. Fairly certain at this point that all the base metals have been dissolved and removed, or at least the copper has anyway. And we'll find out later if there's any silver in there, but there's a pretty good chance that most of it's out. You could, if you wanted to, just melt that now, but I wouldn't like to say that it's definitely going to be 24 karat, not until it's been dissolved. And then, because every time you dissolve it and precipitate it, you get purer and purer and purer. So we'll let that cool off, pour it out, put some acariccia, and we'll get it started. Last night when I turned the hot plate off for the night, I made some acariccia and put the gold in there. The plate was still hot, even though it was turned off, it was cooling down, but there was enough to warm this up, and overnight it's dissolved the gold. I thought there would still be a little bit left, but it's all gone. Beauty. So now I'm going to filter it, even though it looks quite clean. I'd rather filter it one time. I might put it through some cotton balls, I think, and then drop the gold. So this is really good. I came out expecting to have to turn the hot plate on and give it a go, but it's turned out really well. So I've got this little flask here. I'm going to put some cotton balls in the filter and run this through it. Okay, here we go. This should filter quite fast, I would believe. It's important that you get it crystal clear before you drop the gold, because otherwise, if you don't try and make every effort to get all the rubbish out, then you're not refining it. I'll put the gold back in there once it's filtered, and I'll keep rinsing this until all the yellow is gone from the cotton ball, and when it's coming out clear, I know I've got every single drop of gold out. Now I was going to make up some iron sulfate, but I think I'll just go with SMB. I think I'll just use SMB. We'll see how it goes. Alright, so it's just a waiting game now. Look at that, that's come out beautiful. Nice crystal clear gold solution, and it's finished filtering. So I'm just going to put some distilled water in here and just run some water through until that's all gone. You want to see it drip out clear. And you see it's already starting to clear up in the cotton wool. Shouldn't take very long. Alright, so that's all dripped through. It's all coming out clear now. Beautiful. So I'm going to pour this back into the beaker, and I've dissolved some SMB in water. Make sure I rinse this out, get every little bit of gold out of it. Don't want to leave any behind. It's not my gold. Get every little bit. It's important if you do a toll refine for somebody that you do the right thing. If you don't do the right thing by them, they won't come back. So that's beautiful. That's so clear. I'm going to pour this SMB in it. I'll do a status test first. So I'm going to find my little bottle in here somewhere. Right, found it. So we get just a drop on here. You don't want to put too much on here because that's gold solution that you're losing when you do a status test. And what I do is I store the status tests in my paper waste for disposal, because that's gold falling out of solution. There you go, nice dark response. So that's good. I'll pour the SMV in. Oh, what a colour change. That's a textbook drop. Clear and then flash over to dark straight away. Absolutely perfect. I love it when I get a good drop like that. So we'll let that sit now, and once it's all settled, I'll test the solution again to make sure I got all the gold out of solution. And if I have, I can go ahead with the cleanup process. If I haven't, I'll have to put a little bit more SMB in there. Alrighty, it's time to clean the gold up. So the first of 3 water washes. Give it a good stir. Hopefully it'll settle fast, otherwise I'll have to come back later on. It looks like it's settling nice and fast. It's good. Beautiful. It's quicker than I thought it would. So I'll pour this off into my gold wash flask. There's one. Look at that. That's so good. Hot water wash number 2. Before I pour it, I always let it sit there, and then the gold collects at the corner. Otherwise it could be in suspension and pour out with the water. This way it's all sitting there. So that's 2. Hot water wash number 3. Give it a really good stir. Beautiful, look at that. I like it when it settles up fast. Alright, pour that off. Still looks like a nice amount of gold there. Don't think we would have lost too much in the refine. Alright, so now I'm going to give it a hydrochloric acid boil. I'm going to give it a good boil, let it boil for about an hour or 2. And I'll come back then to finish the wash process. Okay, so it's been boiling away now for 2 hours. And take it off the heat. See if I can do this without burning my hands. Let that settle. Give it a second to settle while I get my welding glove on. It's settled pretty well. It's all settled nicely at the bottom of the beaker. Looking good. Looking really good. Alright. Now, some more hot water washes. And I've got to wash this really, really well, because normally I'd be happy with it as it is, just give it 3 washes and that's it. But because it's for someone else and I want to make sure it's 100% pure, what I'm going to do is, once I've thoroughly washed out all the gold, all the hydrochloric acid, I'll probably do about 6 or 7 rinses. I'm then going to put some dilute nitric in there, and if there's any copper or silver or anything like that left in the powder, which I highly doubt, but if there is, the nitric acid will get rid of that, and you should see how clean it brings up the gold powder. Should make it a really nice light brown colour. I quite often do this when I'm refining for somebody else, because my fee is not just for the gold recovery. You know, I don't just get a lump of dirty gold and say, here you go, there's your gold. I've got to make it pure for them. I've got to refine it. So the refining's all part of it as well. People don't realise that when they think, oh, can you just, you know, get the gold out for me? It's also a matter of refining it. And I want to do the best job I can. I don't want him to go away and come back saying, oh, it was only 22% or 23%. You know, I want it as close to, if not 3 nines fine. And on one of my other videos where I refined some jewellery, you'll see that I had 4 nines fine. The guy couldn't believe how pure it was. He said he'd never seen gold so pure. So you spend the extra time on the wash process, and it pays off. You know, dissolving the gold is not just the end of it. The wash is all really crucial. It's all part of it. So that's settled now, so I can pour this off. And the gold's all sitting nicely at the bottom. It's looking really good down there. Rinse number 2. Give a good swirl. Back the other way. I really want to wash this as best I can. You know, if you get a good name, people will say, oh, go to this guy, he knows what he's doing. If you don't do it right, they're going to say, well, don't go to him. So it's worth putting in the extra work, you know. So I'll come back after I've done 6 or 7 washes. The more the better, because you want to be 100% certain that all the hydrochloric acid's gone. Otherwise, when I put nitric in there, it'll start dissolving the gold again. And when I do a nitric boil, I'll do a stannous check anyway, just to make sure there's no gold in solution. And if by some chance there is, then I can just drop the gold back out. That's not a problem, but I need to know. So I'll do a check to make sure. But I'll rinse this, I'll get all this cleaned up, and I'll come back when I'm ready for the nitric acid. I ended up doing 8 washes, so that's got to be clear of not HCl now. You see the gold down there looks really nice. Now I'm going to put some distilled water. You don't want to use tap water for this because you're trying to get rid of impurities, not add minerals and so on. And some nitric acid. Doesn't need to be a certain amount. There's no specific amount needed. I'll put 3 pipette loads in there. That should be more than enough. And I'll put this back on the heat. See, it's already settled. It's nice. And I'll put it back on the heat for a while. And I'll come back in about another hour or so and give that a few good rinses to get rid of all the nitric, but I will do a test on it to make sure that I haven't got any gold in solution. Well, I had it boiling for 2 hours, and then I just turned the hot plate off for the night, so it's the next day. And look how nice it looks. Nice coffee colour, like it's supposed to be. Light chocolate brown. So we'll do a stannous test just to make sure that no gold went into solution, which I know it wouldn't have, but it's always better to be sure. Nothing. No gold in solution. So we know we're clear there. Now I'll pour it off. So this is perfectly good nitric still. I'll pour it off into this beaker and I'll use it for silver or something. And also you can see now that the gold is a nice granule form instead of a powder like it was. I'll show you. Don't know if you can tell, but that's like granules. Much better than what it was. So do a few hot water washes. Look at how fast that settled. Straight away. You can see it moving around on the bottom. It's like sand, like large particles. Give it a good rinse. See, it's grouping, it's not floating in the solution. And pour this off. Do another wash. I'll do about 4 or 5 just to make sure that all the nitric's out. Beautiful. That's how it should be. It's the best way to clean up the gold. So hydrochloric and nitric different times guarantee that anything that can be dissolved will be. This beaker here has got a funnel in it, which I was funneling some SMB because it had rubbish in it, and it's just the first thing I reach for, so it's not like I'm keeping this water for anything. It's nothing. There could be a traces, I suppose, of nitric, which means I could use it for dilute nitric, but I doubt there'll be much in it. It looks so good. I'll give it one more and then I'll put it in the melt dish and we'll get it melted up. Give it a good stir. That, and it just falls to the bottom. Alright, so I'll go and get the melt dish and come back. So I've got a new melt dish here, so I'll show you. I've got a whole pile of them here, and I've started heating it up because I need to season it, and it's leaving black soot on there from the gas because I didn't have enough oxygen on it at first. It'll come good, but just in case there's any dirt or looks like dirt on there, I don't want people to say, oh, you used a dirty old melt dish. It's a brand new melt dish. I probably should have put a lot more heat on there to start with. See, it's coming up nice and clean now. I like to also season around the rim because occasionally a little bits of gold can end up on the rim. And I'd rather it sit there because of the borax than to have it soak into the ceramic. Okay, so it's a freshly seasoned milk dish. Sometimes they come up nice and white, sometimes a little bit dirty. I wiped out as much dust as I could, because these ones have been sitting here, there's a bit of dust in them, but I did wipe it out nice and clean. It's just black from soot. As soon as I put the heat onto it, there was too much gas and not enough oxygen. It's like soot. But now it's come up nice and clean. There is like a faint dusty look to it, but that's why I wanted to show you this. It definitely was a new milk dish. See these ones here, they're dusty, but as soon as you wipe it out, for the most part they get nice and clean. See? I should have really washed it, but I don't want any water to soak into them and then affect the seasoning. But that's nice and clean anyway, it's clean enough. It's just soot. It's better than using a dirty one like the one I was using before, which was this one. And it looks like it's got bits of silver and all kinds of things in there. Same with this one. So if it's a refine like this one and I want pure gold, I have a nice clean dish. If it's only the first melt, I can get away with using old ones. Alright, so I better leave that there because it's so hot. I'll bring the gold round to here. I'll put the gold in there and start melting it up, rather than take the dish around to the gold, because it'll burn the table. Okay, so normally when you melt, when you use a mold, ideally you would have a gas torch glowing just on the mold while you're melting the gold, but I don't have a spare cylinder for this little mold here. I used to have smaller ones and I can't for the life of me find them. This is the smallest one I can find, and so all I can do without having another torch is just keep the heat on it next to it like what I'm doing, go from one to the other. See if I can get it straight for starters. I'd like to be able to melt him a nice little bar. I don't think this is going to be big enough. The ones I used to have, and I don't know where it is, but I had a smaller, at least half that size little bar. I've looked everywhere and I can't find it. So this may or may not be big enough. Even if I can just get a thin line on the bottom of the mold, would be better than nothing. What I may have to do is heat it up while it's in there, pour it in there, and then just keep heating it until it sort of melts again in the mold and hopefully levels out flat on the bottom. That's probably the only thing I can think of. That's glowing red now, so there's definitely no moisture left in that. So what I'm going to do is see if I can pour this gold into it. I might have to turn it around. Not very organised here. Turn it around so I can get the pour spout in the right spot. Alright, give that another dosing, just make sure it's red hot. It's glowing red. I doubt this is going to work. I may have to just put it back and heat it up as a bead. Yeah, it's not sitting as a It's not sitting flat, it's just staying as a bead. So I'll tip it out into the water. Sorry dude, I can't do your bar. I'll have to keep looking for these little beads. I don't normally do such small amounts. So there we go. That is a nice looking bead. Look how shiny that is. Looks like there may be just a slight bit of surface contamination. Definitely not through the gold, 'cause look how shiny that is. Must be just soot that's come off there. We'll go and weigh it up now and see what it comes to. Alright, time to see the damage. The aircon's blowing at around 3.93, so about half a gram, a little bit over half a gram of contaminant. That's not too bad. Could be a lot worse. Well, there you go folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.